Hello, and welcome to the start of our learning how to create web design. And the way you do that is through the HTML language. So this is going to be a really interesting way to work for us because this is normally an in-class sort of class. What I would suggest doing is to work in the MATLAB, unless you have your own Mac, but the MATLAB computers are much bigger, and wear a headset and watch this and do the exercise on the Mac while you're watching this. And you'll understand more what I'm saying after you've watched it a little bit, and then you can say, oh, wait, I should really follow along with this. I have also put it on a worksheet that you can print out and follow along that way after you watch this. So let's get started. So we talked about the HTML language in our last video. It's called Hypertext Markup Language, and this is the language of the internet. It's the only language of the internet. So it doesn't matter what, if you speak French, German, Italian, Chinese, there's one language. Okay? And Dreamweaver is an HTML editor, so we're going to get into that, not this week, but that's what we use to learn how to adapt HTML into looking pretty. Okay? It was invented by Tim Berners-Lee, which we spoke of in our last video, and there was an asterisk, which means you'll need to know that for a test. Okay, so what HTML? There are 90 tags. Examples of a tag are things like the letters HTML, head, which is a header, the body, of course, which is the body, H1, which would be a title, and P is paragraph. And you'll learn all these. They're not as difficult as they sound. I just like to get your head wrapped around them before we start. As you notice, there's no capitals there. We don't use spaces. So those are things to remember. These tags are written between brackets, and these are brackets, these little side V's. I don't know what else to call them, but they are called brackets, so that's what we'll use from now on. And they're very, very important when it comes to the HTML language. So these tags and brackets are used to create the language and text and graphics that you see in your web browser. Now right here, elements, a tag that has both an open bracket. See, that's an open bracket. There's nothing in the middle. Well, there will be. There'll be either a P or an H1 or whatever, but there's not this little slash. That's a closed bracket. And at the beginning and end of everything you do in HTML starts with an open bracket and ends with a closed bracket. And you'll get this as we go along. So these elements create structure, text, interactivity, and mobility. They do everything without, and you'll know if you haven't done a closed bracket, nothing will work. And that's the weird part about this language. It's an exact language, okay? So get into the habit of always using lowercase. That's really important too. And always remember to have an open and closed bracket tag on your HTML. So this is what it looks like. Again, blurry, sorry, don't know why. It's clear as anything when I first put it on there. But as you see, it opens with an open HTML. See, this is open, one on each side. And HTML means we're going to write in this language now. So this tag indicates that this page is written in HTML. Here's our language. If you look at the bottom here, look, it's the close HTML. So there's the little dash or slash right before the HTML. This marks the ending of the page. Now we have a header, right? So here's head open, head close, okay? Header contains information about the web, okay? Title, title open, title close. The title contains the web page title. That doesn't necessarily mean people are going to see that. That's just the title of the web page for search engine reasons. Okay? And here's body. Body open, body close. And this contains all the content of that page. And this all gets clearer as you practice it. So here's a typical HTML written web page. This stuff up here, this doc type stuff, this happens automatically, so don't you worry about that. Here's your HTML open. Here's your HTML close. That means we're in an HTML page. Header is here. Header close is right here. Within it, it's telling us certain things like the text, the font style we want. And then here's the page title. It's called test page, right? Title open, title close. And here's the body. The body contains all the information we're going to actually see body close, and in the middle of that we've put a paragraph, a P open and a P close. That should, oops, sorry, that should have a close. And this is what it looks like. So let me go back one. And this is all the language that you will write to get that on a web page. I know it seems like an awful lot of stuff to get this little bit, but it works, and that's how we have web pages. So now what I want you to do, and this is where if you're just listening now, you may want to consider putting on some headphones or opening up and following along on TextEdit, which is a program on the Mac, as we do these things. But the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to create a folder in the local file. Something you're going to learn, and I hope not the hard way, is that everything you use when you're creating a website, it's like using Adobe Premiere or any other software product, you have to have a folder with all the contents of that website in it, or it won't be recognized when you go to open it. Everything has to be in the same folder. So I want you to go to the local folder on whatever computer you're on, and I want you to create a folder with your last name, and then you can call it Web Design Work or whatever works for you, that you're always going to know that that's your folder for this class. Okay, then I want you to launch TextEdit, and this is where I'm going to start to work with you a little bit here, because some of you have never been in TextEdit. So I'm going to escape here my, let's close that down for a second, and I'm going to show you where TextEdit is. Well, TextEdit happens to be right here on my dock, but if you had to go looking for it, you go into the computer's Finder. This is only going to be on a Mac. TextEdit does not exist on a PC. So you go into the computer's Finder, hit Applications, go, it's alphabetical, shouldn't be too difficult, go down to T, there it is, TextEdit, okay? And you're going to launch it, open it, okay? Let's go back to the PowerPoint. And once you open it, it's taking its time opening here. You're going to type in this information right here. So you're going to create, and I'm going to copy it because I can, because I made it myself. And I'm going to go into this TextEdit, and you're going to type in open HTML. And then you could always put, return and then put close HTML and then add the stuff to the middle, whatever makes you the most comfortable. But you are going to create this right here. So HTML with an open bracket, so bracket on each side. Body, open. And then you're going to type the words, welcome to my first web page. And then you're going to close that body because that's the only thing we want to do. And then you're going to close the HTML, because that's your whole page. We're telling it, okay, we're done with that page now. Now what does it say here? Save the file on your folder or in your folder as first page HTML. So we go here, we go File, Save, and we're going to name it first page .html, okay? I don't want to put it in the cloud. I'm going to put mine on my desktop just so it's easier to get to you guys. But you're going to put it in your folder. Okay? So it is saved to there. Okay? Now, what is this asking you to do? It's asking you to launch a browser. So any browser. I use Safari. You shouldn't. I know. You shouldn't use Safari. But go to File. Open File. And find first HTML right here, and you're going to open it, and it will open as a web page. There it is. It's not pretty, but it's there. So that's literally your first web page. This is the way you can practice the HTML language, okay? So now let's go back into our slideshow. Next one. Now open your browser and your text editor together so you can have them both open. Insert the cursor at the end of the text that you have written. Welcome to my first web page. Hit enter, go to the next line, whatever you want to do, and then type making web pages is fun. Now press the space bar 4 or 5 times, 6, 7, 8 times, whatever you want, a big old space in the middle there, and easy. Okay? Then you're going to refresh your browser. Okay, so let me do it with you. So I'm going to actually type it in. So I'm going here to where it says welcome to my first web page. It says hit enter, go to the next line. Okay, then I'm going to put making web pages is fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And easy, and I'll do the big exclamation point. And you have to save. If you don't save, it doesn't recognize it, okay? Then go to my browser again. Where's my browser? And refresh the page. And oops, look at that. It didn't put it on the next line, and it didn't do any spaces between fun and easy. Well, good, because that wasn't supposed to. I was tricking you. So your results should be the same. Hopefully they were. And as you see up here, as you can see, there are no paragraph or spaces because your browser only reads the code. It ignores spaces unless you give those spaces a code. That's something you have to remember. You can't just return like in normal, writing of paragraphs and sentences. You have to tell the computer, the computer what to do with the language. So it is a language, and you're sharing it with this machine you're using to create something. Okay? So we're going back to text editor again. All right, let's escape. And we're going to add another tag here. We're going to add a paragraph. Okay? So of course we want the paragraph where? Inside the body, right? So I'm going to go here. Oops. Yes, here and return. And I'm going to do the open P. And I'm going to put making page. Oops, sorry. I am screwing that up, aren't I? Making web pages is fun. ... And easy. Oh, this is supposed to be spaces. Sorry, spaces. And easy, exclamation point. We got to close our P, right? Close. P. Done. So we want to take out the one above it, right? Because that didn't do anything for us. And now we've asked for it to be its own paragraph. So what do you want to do? You want to save it. Save it first. Then we want to go back to our browser and we want to hit return and look at it. But whoops, what happened? Gave me the paragraph, right? Because I asked for a P, but the spaces between fun and easy are still not there. Because why? I didn't give it a language and tell it what to do, right? So let's go to this next one here. This is where it's really interesting. I hope this is big enough for you all to see. Okay, non-breaking spaces. This is the code right here. So it's the and sign MBSP with a semicolon. And as many times as you do that, that's how many spaces you're going to get. So go back over here where you see this space here. You want to do the and sign NBSP semicolon. Again, and sign NBSP semicolon. Again, and sign NBSP semicolon. You can do it as much as you want. You can do it as frequently as infrequently. Remember to save it. Now go back to your web browser. See if our spaces came up. Refresh. They're there. Looks goofy, but they're there. So it's just trying to tell you, or I'm just trying to tell you, that you have to give it language, okay? You can't just expect it to be the way you normally write. And that's where you'll get kind of screwed up if you just think it's going to be like just writing out normal text. It is not. Okay, so now we're going to look at, and I'm going to keep it like this. Hopefully this works for you guys. We're going to look at text formatting, heading tags, header tags, or heading tags. They go from an H1 to an H6, H1 being the biggest and H6 being smaller. So go to your text editor. We're going to add a header in, okay? A header would go above the paragraph, okay? So do your open H1, because we want a big one, and we're going to put welcome to my first web page. And then we're going to do what? We're going to close our H1. Don't make it a capital. Oops, I did HI. H1. And then close it up. And then save it, because that's what we do. And then check and see if you got it right. Oops, let's go here. I'm working on a little computer. Oh, look what I did. How beautiful is that? That's my big old header right there. Okay? That's an H1. If I wanted it smaller than that, I'd make it an H2. If I wanted it really small, I could go right down to an H6. They go as far as H6 is. Okay? So you're moving right along. Okay? Inline formatting, creating structure within the tag. This is where it gets kind of fun. This is where the language becomes a little bit addictive. Okay? If you want something to be bold, bolded, or italicized, here are the two codes for it. The word strong and EM for italicized. Don't ask me why. It just is. Okay? So see if you can figure out, which is written right here, so I don't know why I'm asking you to figure it out, how to make and easy bold and italicized. Okay? So I'm going to do it with you. And easy. And easy is right here. So if I want to make it bold, what's the bold? Strong. Okay, so S-T-R-O-N-G. We do an open tag. Oops, sorry. Open tag. And then on the other side, within the paragraph, we do strong. Close tag. Close tag strong, sorry. Close tag strong. Let's try just that first. Okay, let's just try it strong. We got to save it. And then let's check it. Refresh. Ah, I made it strong. Now I want to make it italicized because I really want everybody to know how darn easy it is, okay? So pick a side. The inside's always best. Open EM. Again, why EM? If somebody knows, tell me. And then on the other side, directly on the other side of it, you can't do one on the inside and one on the outside. They have to be equal. Close EM. Close, save project, and then check it. See how you did. I hope you did it right. Look at me. I'm a genius. Oh, I've done this before, but I don't do it very often. Believe me. You'll understand why near the end of this course. Okay, let's go to the next part. I want to keep doing it with you, so I'm not going to open up the whole PowerPoint. Okay, so, oh, this is just me talking right now. So hold on. Let me make it big. Okay, so web pages have three fundamental elements, okay? And there's an asterisk here. They have the root. The root element contains all the code and content that the browser, to let the browser know what is expected of the page. Everything that the computer needs to know, the browser needs to know, is in the root. It's within the HTML and the close HTML, okay? That doesn't mean everybody sees it, but it's telling it all the information it needs. We know that's going to be within the HTML and then that close HTML. Then there's the body. The body holds all the visible content. Everything between the open body and the closed body is seen by the world, okay? And then the last part is the head. The head holds code that performs stuff in the background, like the style and stuff like that, that it needs to know. We talked about that when I showed you that one. I could go back to it. Let me show it to you because you'll see what I mean. It's like being in an actual class, isn't it? Here it is. Okay, so in the head here, see this head? It's got all this goofy little stuff in here. And then we have a title called test page, but remember I told you you're not going to see that. Obviously you didn't. This is what that page looks like. It doesn't say title page anywhere, but the browser uses that. And you might see it when you open this page up in the very, very top. You ever see in the very, very top where it gives like a little title of the page? That's where you see that. So that's what's in the head. It's information that's going on in the background of a website, okay? So, oops, there we go. So these are the three most important areas: the root between the OpenHTML and the close, the body, which is everything everybody sees, and the head, which is code that performs background tasks. And I think I'm showing you this again. Here you go. So here's one that you can do. Okay, so I am going to copy and paste this into my text edit. So if you add a head and a title, a head and a title to your web page. So let's see what happens. I'm just going to add that. I don't have to add this whole thing. I can just do head to head here because I already have an HTML, right? I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go into the HTML. I can go above the body. That's right. That's what I did here. See, above the body. So I'm going to go right in there and I'm going to paste it. And then I'm going to save it because we always save project. And then I'm going to check it. I'm going to see what it does. See if it does anything interesting. Absolutely nothing. Because that's all stuff that's hanging out in the background, right? It's telling us that the one thing it did do is, if you notice right here, it says title HTML basics. And if you look up here, you know how when you open, like that's my email over there, it's now titled HTML Basics. So that's where the title goes. It helps the internet or the browser determine what the page is that you want to be on. Okay, moving on. I hope this is making some kind of sense to you guys. So the title, here we go. This is what I just said to you. The title helps the search engines in ranking. The content of the title is displayed in the search results. It's always in the search results. And that's something when we get to the second part of this class and we talk more about social media and interaction and why it's important that you have tag words and you have a title and you have metadata, all words that I'm sure you've heard and probably not used, but they're really important because they get your website up the Google search, as we like to say. I guess the Yahoo search too, but I like to say up the Google search because I'm a Google search person. So that is your first exercise, okay? I'm going to stop this video right now because the next thing we're going to do is go into the Dreamweaver, and I want to do that in a second video rather than bombard you all at once. I hope this was helpful. If you haven't done it, go in now and do that first exercise and play around so you understand the language a little bit, and then we'll move into this section.